diplomacy, managing to convince Antony and Lepidus that they should lend assistance by contributing ships and troops to his efforts against Sextus. The three men formally renewed their triumvirate in 37 BC, and bolstered by these reinforcements, Octavian launched the assault against Sextus. Yet again, Octavian was defeated in a naval battle, but it didn't matter, because Agrippa won the decisive victory over Sextus's fleet at the Battle of Naulacus. Of Sextus's 300 warships present, only 17 escaped annihilation or capture by Agrippa, clearing the path for invasion. Both Octavian and Lepidus landed large forces in Sicily, and the campaign was won. Lepidus wanted to gain credit for his role in the victory, but in a bold move, Octavian walked into Lepidus's camp and used the appeal of Julius Caesar's name to get Lepidus's legions to desert and join him. Lepidus was ushered off to an enforced retirement. Antony's contributions were ignored, and the self-effacing Agrippa faded into the background, leaving Octavian to stand in the limelight and reap all the glory for the campaign. Extravagant honors were lavished upon Octavian at Rome for his alleged great victory over Sextus, including the erection of a golden statue of him in the Forum, and the bestowal upon him of the coveted title of Imperator, or victorious general. The notional triumvirate was now really down to just two men. And as had so many times happened previously during the late Republic, the situation had devolved into two powerful men squaring off to see which one would take over at Rome. Meanwhile, in the east, Antony had met up with Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt, which was the richest and most powerful independent kingdom remaining around the shores of the Mediterranean. Soon, the two were having an affair. It seems to have been based at least as much on genuine love as political expediency. Antony had always had an inclination towards indulgence, and he and Cleopatra engaged in riotous parties at which he dressed up in a leopard skin as the god Dionysus, while Cleopatra assumed the role of the goddess Isis. As a result of all this, Cleopatra gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, whom she and Antony named Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene. These were rather grandiose names, since the boy was named after Alexander the Great, the conqueror of the world, and if that wasn't enough, Helios is the sun god, while Selene is the goddess of the moon. Eventually, Antony sent his official wife, Octavian's sister, back to Rome, and openly took up with Cleopatra. With their relations strained by Antony's rejection of Octavian's sister, war between the two men seemed inevitable, and each tried to strengthen his position for the coming conflict. While Octavian had clearly been anticipating an eventual showdown with Antony from an early stage, Antony appears to have been a bit slow to realize the seriousness of the threat that the younger man posed. He'd also been distracted by tensions and skirmishing with the powerful kingdom of Parthia, which lay along his eastern border. These conflicts even included several attempted invasions of Parthia, the last of which ended with an embarrassing retreat from Parthia that somewhat tarnished Antony's reputation as a general. Still, by the mid-30s BC, Antony was in a strong position, possessing a huge army and navy and having consolidated his hold over the rich eastern Mediterranean. Also, by aligning himself with Cleopatra, Antony had gained the use of the sizable Egyptian army and navy, and, more importantly, of the vast Egyptian treasury. Octavian could not match Antony's financial resources, so he took a different path. He began to wage what, in modern terms, we would call a war of propaganda against Antony. Octavian posed as the champion of the Roman Republic against a dangerous foreign enemy personified by Cleopatra. Since Cleopatra was a queen, by openly presenting himself as her consort, Antony had fallen into the trap of looking like a king. So Octavian was able to exploit the traditional Roman fear and hatred of monarchs to good effect. Octavian spread rumors that Cleopatra wanted to conquer Rome and move the capital city to Alexandria. Even those Romans who did not like Octavian were offended by the thought of the capital being moved to Egypt. And Octavian was very successful in portraying Antony as having fallen under the seductive powers of a foreign queen. While Antony was an able general, he was clumsy when it came to this sort of war for public opinion. And many of his own actions cluelessly played right into Octavian's hands. For example, he bestowed large territories in the east upon Cleopatra and openly portrayed his children with her as royal monarchs who would inherit the entire east. While he probably intended these acts as merely local ones, done in order to curry favor with the Egyptians, at Rome they stirred up considerable alarm and resentment. In a speech supposedly delivered to his soldiers, Octavian lamented, "Who does not weep to see Antony, a man twice elected consul, has now abandoned his ancestors' way of life, has embraced barbaric foreign customs, pays no honor to the laws or his father's gods, but only pays homage to Cleopatra. He has been bewitched by that accursed woman, and being her slave now undertakes war against us and against his own country." By exploiting these propaganda opportunities to their fullest, in the court of public opinion, Octavian was cleverly able to transform what was in reality a Roman civil war into a war against a conniving foreign monarch, and to represent himself as the noble and selfless defender of the Roman Republic. These efforts culminated in Octavian illegally obtaining Antony's will and publishing its contents, which dictated that he be buried in Egypt and lavished benefactions on his children with Cleopatra, provisions which further inflamed public sentiment against him. However, not all Romans were swayed by Octavian's propaganda campaign, and with war looming, several hundred senators departed Rome to join Antony. Left even more firmly in charge at Rome, Octavian connived to have Cleopatra officially declared a public enemy of the Roman state. This was a brilliant move because it placed Antony in the position of either having to sever his ties with Cleopatra and lose his financial backing, or else remain loyal to her and find himself by law in collusion with an enemy of Rome. Antony, who really does seem to have fallen in love with Cleopatra, chose to stay with her. The long-anticipated war was finally openly declared in 32 BC. Antony still appeared to have the advantage, with the larger army, more resources, and a clear superiority over Octavian as a general. But Octavian once again turned to his faithful companion, Agrippa, and placed him in complete charge of his strategy. Rather than seeking a direct confrontation with Antony's main forces immediately, Agrippa instead cleverly launched a series of quick raids against Antony's supply depots. These small victories bolstered the morale of Octavian's men while confounding and frustrating Antony. More importantly, Agrippa seized the initiative and steadily nibbled away at Antony's naval strength. Antony was slow to react, with the result that his main army eventually found itself blockaded and short of food, leading to starvation and disease. Having forced Antony into a position of disadvantage, Agrippa was now ready to commit to the main assault. The ensuing decisive naval battle between Octavian's forces and the combined fleet of Antony and Cleopatra took place on September 2nd, 31 BC, just off the Greek coast at a site called Actium. At the Battle of Actium, Agrippa thoroughly outmaneuvered Antony and won the victory for Octavian. When they saw the fight turning against them, Antony and Cleopatra abandoned their fleet and fled the scene in swift ships, managing to escape to Egypt. Once there, knowing that Octavian would relentlessly pursue them, rather than be captured, both chose to commit suicide. Octavian was left in sole command of the Roman world. He had won the military battle, but still faced a greater problem: how to rule Rome as one man and not be killed for seeming like a king. Julius Caesar had also attained total power, but had then spectacularly failed to solve this puzzle. Now it would be Octavian's turn to attempt this ultimate challenge. But that takes us into the third era of Roman history, the Empire, which will be the subject of another course. In the next and final lecture of this course, we will look back over the history of the Roman Republic and consider the reasons for its collapse.